used to think for quite a long time that in order to get into the Islet of Steel here, you had to defeat all of the bomb ships and destroy all of the cannons. But that's actually a complete lie. You could just completely ignore them and just sail right in. I mean, I remember that you had to at least use the cannon against a door that would block the way to the Triforce Shard. But you don't. Triumph Forks. I mean, it's a pun, like, it sounds kind of like Triforce. Like, I guess it makes sense that over time, like 100 years, people would forget what, but Triforce, like it's a name that makes so much sense. Like, because it's a triangle and it's a magical force, like how could people possibly forget the word Triforce? Like, you think, I know that the world has been flooded, but it doesn't mean that, like, all historical records would be destroyed. Like, when the people who survived the flood, wouldn't they have, like, lived to tell the tale of the world below the sea? Wouldn't they have written stuff down? How did people forget about Hyrule in the first place? It's only been 100 years. Hell, there are some people alive who have been around for 100 years. I mean, this is Hyrule we're talking about. Like, and the Great Sea. The technology is, like, still in medieval times. There's still pirate ships going around like it's nothing. So maybe technology isn't great enough that people could have lived for 100 years and been around to still talk about old Hyrule, but still. It's actually faster to just swim out of there because the boat cruises around so slowly. Better off just getting out of the boat and swimming. But we're outside of Needle Rock Island right now in the southwest part of the Great Sea. And that's the gold ship I was talking about that gives you a regular treasure chart in the Japanese version. And that regular treasure chart leads to another regular treasure chart that leads to another regular treasure chart that finally leads to a Triforce chart. Now, I don't know exactly how that works. I mean, I guess you would use the treasure chart and then you would use the grappling hook in the sea on the treasure, and that treasure would actually be a treasure chart. It's actually random how long it takes to get, like, treasure, like, on the Great Sea. Like, you can use the grappling hook on a light tile, and it's random how long it'll take to pull up the treasure chest. It's really annoying getting the treasure in the Great Sea, because, like, the light tile disappears dickishly. So you have to memorize where it is and aim, like press the Wind Waker button at exactly the right time. Because you've noticed that I've been using my Wind Waker as an anchor, because the Wind Waker instantly stops you. But yeah, I had to change the time of day from night to day, because apparently the flock of seagulls and the Great Octo aren't there unless it's day. So no wonder I had such trouble fighting this guy. That's tedious. None of the guides tell me about that. The boomerang is the only weapon you should ever use. You can even target through the wall of the giant octo. Like, why couldn't I have this luxury in the boss of the forest dungeon? Like, you can target right through him to target eyes that are on the opposite side of his body, and then throw the boomerang, and the boomerang will actually be nice enough to circle all the way around him rather than getting stopped by his sides and not hitting all the targets. Like, why couldn't it be like that for the forest dungeon boss? That's stupid. You can also use bombs and arrows against him, but don't waste ammo on that. It really is better to just use the boomerang. I think bombs, like, destroy the eyeballs with one hit. But, like, good luck actually aiming with the cannon when you can't see a targeting reticle on the screen. How did she survive being eaten by a giant octo? And if she was magical enough, like, if the explanation is that she's invincible, then why didn't she have enough magic power to just teleport outside of the giant octo then? I don't know, it's stupid. This is obviously just Beetle in a mask. I don't know why he's trying to pretend to be someone else. But this is a very great money sink. Like, this game... Wait, they let me skip the get animation? That is so stupid. Like, you don't get the item animation for buying the empty bottle, but you get it for getting a treasure chart, even though you've gotten like 8 billion of them already. That's so stupid. But yeah, like that special Beetle ship, the thing about him is that he pretends that his store is only open selling those items for a limited amount of time. But obviously that's not how it actually is in the game, because it would be really dickish to make an empty bottle and a piece of heart something that can be lost forever if you don't go to the ship fast enough. So what actually happens is that he was pretending that that was the case to drive up business. I don't know why he thought he would get any business at all, since his ship is going around uninhabited island. Like, why do the Beetle ships do that in general? Why don't they just stay on Windfall Island and Outset Island, since those are the only inhabited islands of the Great Sea, apparently, or at least a part of the Great Sea that we get to see. I don't know. And another weird thing about that special ship is that you can't sell things to him. And like, he buys the items from you, he spends money. So, I guess he would want to take any opportunity he can to not spend money. Especially since he's making so much money off that specific ship. I don't know where he found the empty bottle and piece of heart and treasure chart. Well, I guess the treasure charts are family heirlooms of people. And maybe the same would apply to the magical piece of heart that forms off the life energy and love. That's supposed to be the explanation for pieces of hearts and hearts in the world. I don't really know, like empty bottles are empty bottles. Like, come to think of it, I don't know why empty bottles are so rare. Like, why can't, like, these are things that should be common household items. I mean, like, don't people use empty bottles to, like, drink water every day? Why is it so hard for Link to find an empty bottle? Like, why can he only have 4 of them? Well, I guess the game would be insanely broken if you could have a lot more of them. It's just a logic question that you need to kind of ignore. Although, a good explanation for that is actually that the empty bottles that Link has are magic. Because, you know, A Link to the Past had the best idea. They called them magic bottles, and that made sense because they allowed you to keep fairies in there in a state of stasis. So it's not like keeping the fairies in the magic bottles for too long would cause them to die of starvation or oxygen deprivation. Instead, it seemed to keep them frozen in time, so they wouldn't hate you by the time they came out and refuse to heal you. And also, they would probably be brainwashed into healing you in the first place, because, like, wouldn't they hate you for imprisoning them in a bottle? So yeah. Then you get to Ocarina of Time where you can put fish in bottles and the fish don't die. Like the fish and milk. Like you can put Lon milk in bottles for as long as you want. You can even skip forward in time from child Link to adult Link and the milk won't go sour. So yeah. Maybe the empty bottles themselves that Link has are magical and that's what makes them special. Like that's what makes them one of a kind. Is that nothing ever goes bad in them. Although, that brings up the question of how Beetle got a hold of that magical thing in the first place. Like, I guess he just has that as a family heirloom, or magically, like stumbled upon it. I really don't get how the bokoblins are able to hide themselves inside those tiny jars when they're so large. Like, I guess they just have a magical shrinking spell. It only lets them shrink down, like, so much. Because if they were able to shrink down too much, then they'd be impossible to... I hate that stupid parry attack! Why can't there only be this one? The one that lets you leap over enemies? Because if you do the stupid rolling parry attack by accident, then when it's warmed by these guys, like you'll roll into the other ones, and so you won't be able to roll behind them. It can be kind of cheap being expected to deal with multiple Dark Nuts at once, because the Dark Nuts are programmed so that, like the Dark Nuts, it really feels like they did not play test fighting multiple of them at once. The Dark Nuts are really designed for fighting one of them at a time, like one-on-one duels. So it's cheap having to deal with multiple of them at once. Because like you're out targeting one of them, you're focusing on one of them, you're waiting for one of them to allow you to parry. But meanwhile, all of the other Dark Nuts are attacking at different times from the one that you're targeting, so they can attack you while you're waiting. And like you can spam the spin attack a whole bunch and hope that it'll destroy the armor of more than one of them. That's a good strategy. What's also good is that you can actually destroy the pillars with the Dark Nut sword and get money from that. So yeah, that's pretty good. You can actually see real world constellations in the night sky this game, like the Big Dipper, Orion, and even Cassiopeia. They really went the extra mile. Like they could have easily just had stars scattered randomly everywhere and had people see their own patterns in it. But they actually went through the trouble of making real world constellations. This is basically what you have to do every time you try to get treasure. Like, just keep on bringing up the map, because you don't want to sail past it, because that's going to end up wasting a lot more time than you'll save. I don't know why they decided to like make it as tedious as imaginable to dig up treasure. Like, you can't just have the light always be there. There's actually a full moon chart that allows you to see light tiles that are only there on the full moon. So I guess that's treasure that you can only get on the full moon. So it's good that they actually make use of the phases of the moon in more ways than determining what island the ghost ship sails around. Like the ghost ship can sail around the Crescent Moon Island and the Bomb Island. I believe he can sail around Needle Rock Island too. Maybe Greatfish Island. I don't remember all of them. I usually just remember him being on Bomb Island. So, it makes sense that they have a Triforce Shard here because it's the Greatfish Island. You know, the home of Jabon, the water spirit, who I'm guessing is descended from the silly, unable to talk Jabu Jabu from Ocarina of Time. Hyrule Historia reveals that there was a plan for a GameCube island, but all that remains of that idea is concept art shown in the book. It's a shame the game was rushed, because I would have liked to see that GameCube island. There's actually a test room that's basically an island all on its own. And you can sail for an infinite amount of time there, so it's obviously a place to test out the sailing. And that island also has like a lot of grass to cut down. It doesn't really have a lot of cave though, or I don't remember it having any enemies. The annoying thing is the action replay that I have does not allow me to see that test room with the island, so I wasn't actually able to show it off, which really sucks. I remember there's also a test room that's basically called a pig dungeon, where there's a bunch of tiny pigs in a gray room, and if you pick up those pigs, well, they're more normal size than tiny, but if you pick them up, Link acts like he's carrying a giant pig when he isn't. I don't remember much about that though, and I can't show it off because of the stupid action replay.